This is the CineSnob Podcast.
Hi, and welcome to episode 229 of the CineSnob Podcast. I'm Jerrod Kingery.
I'm Cody Villafana.
Cody, it was All-Star Weekend this past weekend for the NBA. Did you watch any of it?
Yeah, I watched the dunk contest, and I watched the All-Star game.
I haven't sat down to watch an All-Star Weekend in a long time. I don't remember the last time I did.
Yeah, so here's the update. So basically, the dunk contest is hot trash these days.
Really?
Yeah, they've sort of like done it to where you get like way too many attempts, and so you like if someone misses a dunk, you see what they're about to do, and then they try it for like a couple of minutes, and then they get tired, and then they can't do it because they're winding themselves. And so like you have rounds that end with just missed dunks, and people get a score of 0 because they can't complete it. And it's just I think there's just a lack of creativity across the board, which is crazy because if you see like amateur, and by that I mean like, non-professional NBA player dunk contest, it's super creative, but none of those guys seem to be able to cross over. Plus, it's gotten to the point where no like player of note is willing to do it anymore. So it's just a bunch of like deep rotation guys doing the contest and stuff. So
do they still have like the superstars on the sideline judging or reacting?
Yeah, David Robinson was a judge.
Okay. I saw him. I saw a video clip of him. I can't remember what he was doing, but he had on the sweet ass jacket.
Oh yeah, they brought out the 75 best players. Tim Duncan was on video, but David Robinson and Gervin were there.
I saw that. I didn't realize that was the video. Like Tim Duncan sent in a video message, like, "I'm not coming to."
Yeah.
Where the hell was it? I don't even know.
Cleveland.
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't go either.
Yeah, but so the slam dunk contest sucks. Everything else is fine. The All-Star game was fine. I think the only the really fun part about the All-Star game this year was that Steph Curry just went insane and
saw that.
Hit 16 threes.
Like from deep,
Yeah.
like almost midcourt.
Yeah.
That we've probably talked about it before, but I always wish they turned the All-Star game into the old NBA or MTV Rock and Jock.
Oh, with like 4-pointers and stuff?
Yeah, or like here's like they had the like super high basket. Do you remember that? And that was like 30 points or something. Just make it ridiculous and stupid because it's all showboating anyway.
Yeah.
I still can't believe they give out an MVP award because like who cares?
I mean, at least invite Dan Cortez to the All-Star game.
I would watch Dan Cortez in an All-Star game. Wasn't there some sort of All-Star game? I saw Machine Gun Kelly was getting.
There's a celebrity game every year. Yeah, I didn't watch much of any of that, but they actually do this cool thing with the All-Star game these days where they judge by like quarters, and then I think they add the amount, and then you have to like reach a certain number by the end of the game. Where like there's a set score, so they turn off the clock, and the first to get this many points wins the game.
Oh.
So so the fourth quarter becomes super competitive because they're like actively trying to win, and so like they actually start playing defense and stuff like that. So
it still doesn't mean anything, right? It's not like baseball. Where the All-Star game winner gets home court or home field.
Yeah, and that's not even a thing anymore. Baseball did away with that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Man, how far behind am I?
But yeah, that used to be the thing, and then people were like, why are we doing this for this meaningless game?
That was a cool like incentive, I thought. Like it made it at least mean a little bit of something since you're like spending time and money on it.
Yeah, although it really truly only means anything to like a handful of teams who actually have a shot at going to the World Series.
Sure. But anyway, I still love that the one All-Star game we had in San Antonio is like the fashion choice still. Like I still see that stuff popping up all over the place.
Yeah, it's fantastic because it had the Fiesta colors with everything and like giant peppers and shit like that.
Yeah.
It's like clearly they went with like a Southwest like Arizona theme, but they did it here. It's weird that like they didn't.
I've been wanting to
right.
try to pick up a good bootleg David Robinson jersey from that, but I can't seem to track one down.
I'm sure they don't have them on eBay.
I haven't looked actively in a while, but you could always get like a Jordan. They actually released a really cool like Jordan collectible action figure with that uniform on, like a 1/6 or 1/12 scale, with like a real cloth uniform in that. Because that was his last. Was that his last big All-Star game? No, that couldn't have been.
Jordan's last All-Star game was he was like wearing I think that was back when they were wearing their like actual jerseys. So I think Jordan was wearing a Wizards jersey.
I hated that. That sucked when they did that.
Yeah.
That was really stupid. Yeah, I forgot. Like Jordan, didn't he beat out somebody that was? Oh man, wasn't there a controversy about that?
I think it was Jordan versus Kobe in that All-Star game.
Yeah, but I feel like that like Jordan took a spot that everybody felt should have gone to someone else.
Oh, just in general?
Yeah.
Well,
I feel like that was because I mean he was old and who gave a shit at that point.
Yeah, but it was his last year, so they were gonna do it. And then but he ended up like kicking ass during the All-Star game, so I don't think it made much of a difference, but
do you remember we may have talked about this before, but like the Miami Heat that last season they retired his jersey number.
Oh yeah.
And it had a weird like half of it was the Wizards and half of it was the Bulls. Like it made no sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to find a jersey of the San Antonio All-Star game to show on video here because I think it's worth showing for those of our viewers who are watching us. Here, let's see. You kind of love technology.
There is so like I said, I was trying to find a Robinson jersey.
This one's a Patrick Ewing one.
Oh, nice. There's a Robinson one, but I don't know what year it is. It's like the all red.
Yeah. I know what one that is with like a star on it.
Yeah.
1991.
Oh. Jesus Christ, that's old. It's like his second year in the league. Damn. Anyway, NBA All-Star Game was this weekend. How the Spurs were represented? Who was there?
DeJounte Murray.
Okay.
He did really well.
Good.
He was. It's probably one of the better All-Star performances from a Spurs player because those guys rarely ever. Like, you know, like the All-Star game is for like the super high flyers and deep shooters and stuff like that. Like guys who are flashy really excel in that kind of game. And like Duncan wasn't doing 360 dunks at any point. So like his appearances never really did much. But DeJounte Murray like threw a pass off the backboard to himself and dunked it and had some like between the legs alley-oop stuff. So it was cool. It was good to see a Spurs player shine on that level.
Yeah. All right. Well, anything else before we move on? We've talked All-Star Game and
well, happy President's Day to you.
Oh, I thank you. I was wondering if you were going to say something, but
I was waiting until we were here.
I celebrate the real president, Vladimir Putin. I forgot it was President's Day, and I tried to go do something that was a public service. I was like, fuck. It's closed.
I had off, so.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Happy President's Day, Cody. Let's move on to reviews.
Here are this week's reviews.
First up, we have Dog.
If anyone asks, say she's on her way to rehabilitation.
Hey, do you want me to list her up for you?
Let's just get this over with. All right. What's up, dog? You remember me? It's your favorite chew toy from 2015. No? Me and you are gonna go on a little road trip. 1,500 miles. Just to act like your daddy's looking down on us from above. All right, I'm gonna leash you up. All right? Be cool, easy. Easy. You really did give up, huh? What are y'all so scared of? She's mellowed out big time.
So this movie stars Channing Tatum and is also co-directed by Channing Tatum. And this is his first film since first live action film since Kingsman: The Golden Circle and Logan Lucky back in 2017. He did some voice work in between, but Cody, tell us about Dog and what you thought of it.
Yeah, so Channing Tatum plays an Army Ranger who is in some form of. There's a dog barking right now.
Right on cue.
Yeah. So he plays an Army Ranger who is kind of looking to try to go back into the Rangers. He suffered a traumatic brain injury, and so he's looking to kind of get back into the game. And he finds out that someone who he used to serve with recently died, and the dog that was with them needs to be transported to a different state for his funeral. And so they go on this kind of road trip and learn lessons along the way. It's interesting. This movie, if you watch just the trailers, it seems like a wacky Channing Tatum and a dog comedy, and it's really not that at all story wise, because it's really covering themes of like PTSD and covering things like combat injuries and brain injuries and also sort of the idea of expectations. And I think the issue with it is that I don't think it does anything with that material that resonates to a degree that I found satisfying or completely satisfying. I think there are some good moments of talking a little bit about trauma and exploring trauma and PTSD and war PTSD and things like that. But I think it's always sort of bailed out with some kind of, again, wacky antic. And I think the thing is sort of undone by its formula when it comes to that, because I think you can see the whole thing. You can see the movie play out way ahead of time. I mean, sure. I think you can predict every single beat that's going to happen along the way. And I think, there's a lot of like weird stuff to it. Like there's two separate scenes of what would you call it? Like a sort of like comedic hippie-isms, like there's two separate scenes, one of like a psychic and one of like tantric sex of people. And like to me those two things seem repetitive, and I also think are redundant. And I think also there's some redundancies with like there's just so like at some point it keeps on escalating where like how much stuff is going to go wrong on this very seemingly simple task. And I think it gets down to that formula a little bit too much. And then something that's been sticking with me since I've seen the movie, there's a moment in the movie where the dog does something sort of fucked up and like just like on the surface of what actually happens. And it's like it's ever so slightly hinted towards that, but I was like, please do more with that, because why even have that happen if you're not gonna like have anything profound to say about that experience or to make a commentary on
Are you talking about the hotel?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, or making like a commentary on like profiling or like something it doesn't do anything with that idea. So it just left me feeling like, why is this in here if you're not going to like make some sort of comment on how, again, like profiling or something along those lines. Channing Tatum has one line about it, but it's really he's kind of defending himself in that line. So I really didn't like the inclusion of that without anything to follow up on it. I think that the idea is interesting, but you have to follow it up with something for it to mean anything. I think Tatum is good. I think he's I think he's just a very charismatic actor just in general. And I think that there's some good side plots. I think there's some good. I think I like the bit of Ethan Suplee that's in the movie.
Looking jacked.
Yeah, and Kevin Nash looking super old.
Yeah. That was a part. That part started out a little too wacky for me.
Yeah, it didn't. And it ended up not making sense. I liked where it ended up going towards the middle of it. There's also this side plot too of Channing Tatum's character having like a child and a woman that is just again a complete throwaway. And then of course the movie has designs of like tugging your heartstrings with the relationship with the dog, and the lesson Channing Tatum learns along the way about how to treat the dog who has been suffering from the trauma and everything. So all in all, I think it's perfectly fine. It's watchable. But I think that it feels like a bit of a missed opportunity in a couple of areas where I wish there was a little bit more meat on the bone, especially with the ideas it wants to try and float along the way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious. You think that's because that's your profession, that you would maybe like to see that delve into a little bit deeper?
Well, no, I think again, there's a lot. I think that scene in particular opens up a lot of doors for conversation that the movie doesn't seem to want to have at that point.
Oh, I'm talking, the hotel thing, right?
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Were you talking about something different?
I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about like the PTSD.
Oh, yeah. Well, yes and no. I mean, I think that's a big part of the story. And I think especially with how Channing Tatum is treating the dog and how he sort of adjusts along the way, there's something there. And also, they make a point to tell you 10 times that the dog has PTSD responses. The dog barks every time it hears a loud noise, and they mention that the dog is panting because of anxiety and so on and so forth. So I wish that connection was a little deeper.
Yeah, I think that this movie is, like you said, it played, like trailers played it out to be wacky. It does have some wacky elements. I think the Kevin Nash scene starts out a little too extreme and almost veers totally into wackiness by the end. And like you mentioned, the two women that are the tantric sex gurus or whatever you want to call them, I don't get that scene. And then there's like a I guess we would call it like a takedown of some woke concerned citizen.
Oh, the Bill Burr. No. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Well, Bill Burr. I don't really understand what we were supposed to think of Bill Burr. I mean, I assume he was a piece of shit, right?
No. So the whole idea behind the joke was that he was military police, and so
right.
he was.
But was he racist too?
No, I think he was trying to bait.
Okay,
he was trying to bait Channing Tatum because Channing Tatum is fucking with the military police throughout the movie, and that's what Bill Burr used to be. So.
I couldn't pin that down. That said, though, I do think it's one of the more interesting portrayals of like post-military life I've seen, where they all tend to be a little bit more sort of, I guess, jingoistic, if you prefer that term. Just sort of like, here these heroes came home and this is, their honor. Now, like, instead of somebody being a wreck. And like everybody you come across in this movie has something that was in the military, something that's kind of affected their life to a point where they can't function properly. And the darkness that goes with it, I think a pretty interesting point, and I have no idea if this is something really that happens in the military. I don't have see any reason why they would have made it up. But that book that the Rangers keep, and the kind of like the DVT of the dog's body cam kills, essentially, like that's some really dark shit. And I've never actually seen that kind of portrayed in a film before like this. And I thought that was an interesting take on the material. Again, it's completely predictable. I think the scene you're talking about in the hotel, it does have some like bigger conversation aspirations that I don't think it lives up to. it feels like it feels a little out of place. Like it feels like, that something that, it's essentially the dog racially profiling a person based on their outfit. But it doesn't. It's just sort of waved away in a little too easily. But other than that, though, I mean, that said, I did enjoy the movie quite a bit more than I thought I would. Tatum's really good. I really liked Ethan Suplee, and I think that that it's at least a little bit more realistic than I thought it was going to be. Mm-hmm. I thought we were going to get like wacky dog reaction shots, and I think, speaking of, I think there is a very effective moment when you discuss the where Channing Tatum goes to visit his estranged daughter. You like the camera stays on the dog the whole time, which I thought was an interesting take. It played out the scene kind of unexpectedly, but it is predictable, but I thought it was more enjoyable than I assume you did. But anyway, what's your grade, Cody, for Dog?
Yeah, I think all things considered, my viewpoint is that it is a perfectly fine movie. It's weird. I mean, I guess it's technically a family movie, though. I do think there's this underlying sense of darkness there that it's not a kids movie for sure. I mean, to be fair, I don't know how you properly package this movie to sell it and like really grasp what it's going for. Mm-hmm. Especially when there's like dog antics in it. Like the dog antics are going to be dog antics no matter what. So I'm going to give it a B-. I'll recommend it, but it's certainly not a strong recommendation.
I'm going to go with a B. Like I said, it was considerably more straightforward than I thought it was going to be. Like you're not going to be surprised by it at all, plot-wise, but I do think kind of the approaching the material, the military material with something, a little less than kind of respect these heroes and this stuff that gets thrown around a little too often, I think is a refreshing touch to show that these guys are actually, human beings that get affected by these horrible things that happen to them. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, Ted K.
The Industrial Revolution has been a disaster for the human race.
Oil poured into the Sound at the rate of 20,000 gallons an hour.
The Montana Electric Company sprays cancer-causing herbicides without any warnings to the public. I cried about what was happening to the country. Desecration. But I have a plan for revenge. People say violence and the taking of human life is not a way to resolve problems. Can't work. But history shows that it very often does work.
This is a biopic of Cody's hero, Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber. Not your hero, but I have to defuse that joke.
Oh,
get it?
It was too explosive.
Man, I forgot. How long ago was this? A long time
he
ago.
started in I think the mid 80s, and I think was arrested in 94, 95 maybe.
I remember Will Ferrell playing him on Saturday Night Live.
That's my lasting memory of him too.
I didn't see this movie, but you did, Cody. Tell us about Ted K. What you thought of it?
Yeah, so essentially the movie is a very stylized, art housey take on the Ted Kaczynski story. That's actually shot in the area where Ted Kaczynski's cabin was in Montana, and I think Montana.
Yes.
And it uses passages from his manifesto throughout, Like, so you hear, like the narration you hear there is from that manifesto that famously got him caught. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know why this movie exists. And I think and what I mean by that is that, ostensibly there was not much to the idea of Ted Kaczynski other than the idea that he thought technology was ruining the world and he just wanted peace and quiet. And so he decided to murder people because of it. And that's about as deep as the thing goes. And so it's not necessarily like glamorizing him by any stretch of the imagination, but it's just kind of like this portrait of this guy who just wanted revenge for what he saw to be a societal problem. And it was just a kook. Like, I mean, and I don't really know why we need like this super gritty indie version. It sort of felt in a way, not in the same way, but sort of like the Gus Van Sant sort of style of, like Elephant, like doing a stylized Columbine thing, or like, I don't know if you ever saw Last Days. It was his garbage Kurt Cobain movie.
No, I didn't.
Where it's just very highly stylized, and there's some like weird like imaginary. He's like has like an imaginary woman that he's around, and like there's a lot of scenes of explosives and stuff. I don't know. It just, for me, it was a little edgelordian, and and again, I just don't see why this movie needs a dramatic take on it. Like, again, it was a guy who built bombs to kill people because he felt like it was harder and harder to live in peace and quiet in the woods because of technology and industrialism and stuff like that. Who gives a shit? Just like, I don't know why we have to tell this story in a movie. And there's nothing that's really like, I can see if you want to give some insight into like exploring how he got that way, or like trying to uncover the madness behind everything. Like, I don't think that there's anything wrong with making movies about the psychology of weirdos and serial killers and stuff like that. But this ain't it, unfortunately.
How is Sharlto Copley? I'm not a terribly big fan of his.
He's fine. I think he's got this weird accent, as you can hear from the trailer there, that I just don't really think is super convincing. His acting is perfectly fine. But yeah, he's never really landed on his feet after District 9.
Chappie.
Yeah. But we didn't get to see him. He was just a voice in Chappie.
It's true. God, I hated that movie so much. so much. All right, what's your grade for Ted K, Cody?
Solid C for Ted K.
C for Ted K. All right, that's going to do it for this week. Next week, the Foo Fighters movie, right, Cody?
Yeah, we've got Foo Fighters movie Studio 666 coming out. We also have Cyrano is finally opening in theaters wide, so that's a movie from last year, but it was on my top 10 list. So I figured we might do good by covering it. And then there is a Hulu movie coming out that we may cover. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head right now.
I believe I know what you're talking about.
Because we just got a screener for it.
Yeah.
Let me see. Hulu movie. What's next Friday? It's going to be
it's the 25th.
September. What am I saying? February 25th. Man, we should know this. No Exit.
No Exit. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just looked that up in my email. So.
Yeah. So that's a movie that we may or may not cover. We'll see. I know it's like a thriller, I believe, with Dennis Haysbert and Dale Dickey. So.
Wow, what a cast! That seems like a low rent Super Bowl commercial. Dennis Haysbert and Dale Dickey. Wow. We get Ethan Suplee one week and Dale Dickey the next. It's like a My Name Is Earl reunion here.
Okay.
Did you ever watch My Name Is Earl?
I watched like maybe 3 or 4 episodes when it premiered, and then I was like, I think I got it.
Yeah, it was. I enjoyed it. I wish Jason Lee had more to do these days because I like Jason Lee quite a bit.
Yeah, I think it's a voluntary step away though for him. I think he kind of
does a lot of photography.
Yeah, I think he just kind of disappeared. I appeared on that Alvin and the Chipmunks money.
I would too. Him and David Cross. All right, if you want to reach us, you can email us at podcast@cinesnob.net. Find us on Twitter at CineSnob, Facebook, CineSnobNet. Critic? One of those two.
I think it's net.
That anyway. Anything else, Cody, before we go?
No. I think we're good. Is this the first time we've had back-to-back weeks in quite some time?
It's been a little while, yeah.
That's as Stained would say.
Yeah. They would also say, "Let's go, Brandon," probably too.
Oh, yeah, without
100%. All right. On that note, I'm Jerrod Kingery.
I'm Cody Villafana.
Thank you for listening to the CineSnob Podcast. To read reviews, interviews, and more, visit CineSnob.net. See you next week.